Hey everyone, not the usual start to the episode here, I know, but today the content of the episode is pretty heavy. I'm including this here as a trigger warning as depression and suicide are mentioned in this episode. I can't begin to thank Jesse, today's guest, enough for being so open and sharing his story about living with a clinical diagnosis of depression. Jesse, you are a brave man, and I know that your story today will help others. Thank you. Hey everybody, and welcome back to On Your Mental. This is the podcast where we share candid, open, and vulnerable conversations between men about things that are on our minds. And today's episode is actually really important. I'm not going to downplay it at all. I'm super happy with the person who I have here. I'll introduce Jesse in just a moment. But before we get into that and before we get into our topic, I want to just point out a couple things. Again, thank you everybody for all the feedback that I've continued to receive for this podcast. We've done a few cool things. I got a new plant. There's a new plant here, new bonsai. I don't know if it's a real bonsai, but new bonsai. And then
could be a real bonsai.
Quick shout out here to James Klein of Handy Dad 604 on Instagram, who has finished this table, stained it, painted it. Looks amazing, and I love the vibe.
Handy dads,
man. He actually started it with another. He was an old coworker of mine, and then he started it with another old coworker, and they're two dads, and they're handy.
Hey,
yeah,
name fits.
Manly men.
They really lucked out with that name, then, eh?
Yeah, I mean, not like you can choose the name or anything. Everybody, this is Jesse Dawson.
Hello.
Jesse Dawson is one of my closest friends, one of my longest friends. He and Sebastian, who I think I might have mentioned in another episode at this point, maybe not, but Sebastian and Jesse were, I would say, my two best friends growing up through high school. My man. Anyways, Jesse is here today to talk about something that's super important, and it's going to be coming out, this episode will be coming out on an important day, which is Bell Let's Talk Day.
Yes, sir.
And Jesse is here to talk about growing up with depression.
Yes, sir.
And that can be a sensitive topic. It can be a very vulnerable topic, especially to bring out in the open like this. I don't think I've ever talked to you fully about what it's been like with you.
It's going to be the first time.
And so I'm looking forward to it. Before we get into the first question with that, I have something to address here. And I want you to get yours out because otherwise this won't make sense. This right here, this lip balm, I did not know that there was a brand called Chapstick this whole time. When people said Chapstick, I thought every lip balm was Chapstick. I thought it was like, oh, I got to get it from a Chap Lips. And so I thought all of it was Chapstick. I didn't know there was a brand.
Yeah, man. Chapstick, Burt's Bees. That's the way it works. What's the other one?
I didn't know, man.
Carmex.
So Chapstick is... Carmex? Yeah, Carmex.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that Chapstick is a lip balm, and lip balm is not a chapstick. Chapstick is a lip balm.
That's correct.
Son of a bitch.
And free,
God
free
damn it.
advertising. Chapstick Mint is the best one.
Plug it. I always use Burt's Bees. Anyways, Jesse, thank you very much for coming here, and thank you for
having me.
Hey, of course, man. And thank you for agreeing to talk about this stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
so,
man.
To kick things off here, what has it been like for you? What has it felt like growing up with depression?
Depressing. Not to make light of the topic, and before we really start, I really want to say that I'm not an expert in this by any means. I'm really just going to talk about my experiences and what I have done, I guess, throughout these years that I actually went through this mental illness. So, yeah, man, it was, to be completely honest, it was really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Really tough. And everything, like, it's tough to really talk about it because I personally, I don't think I have the right words to really describe a lot of the magnitude that this took on, like the magnitude of like it all. Realistically, it was really tough. It felt lonely and empty, man. It's scary. It's a scary world. And to give you some history, I think I first started having depressive feelings back when I was about 10.
That long, eh?
But I never really understood, I think, what like what I was feeling. I think it's just a different emotion that I was really used to, and I didn't really understand where it was coming from, and why it was happening. So I didn't really it didn't really sink in too much. You just felt it, and
Like it's not like processing it at that point.
Yeah, it was more like just like kind of like how you grow up and you just become your own person. It just started to become part of who I was at that point in time, and I didn't really understand it. Didn't understand what it was doing to me, and then I think I didn't really understand it fully until I got to high school. When of course, puberty and a lot of hormones and emotions are coming about, and you're dealing with a lot of new things, and I think that's where it really kind of took a turn for the worst. I think is where it really started to take a turn for the worst, and yeah, man.
Yeah, it is
scary.
Tough. It is scary. It is scary. Yeah, from my own perspective, just being your friend and seeing you, like I know you've had moments where it was worse than others,
For sure,
right? And where you could see it was affecting your day to day a lot more, right? But yeah, to your point, like in high school, I can't even imagine, like you're already dealing with shit in high school
every day.
Everybody's dealing with shit in high school. Like those are your formative years.
Yeah.
And then to throw on top of that, now you have a mental illness that's weighing on you and that you're starting to understand. Like even then, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like maybe you wouldn't have known fully and understood it fully even at that point.
Well, it's not completely understanding it fully, but like I would say between grade 7, grade 8, and for all y'all people watching in other provinces and in the States, we don't have middle school. We just it's elementary to 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is high school, and then you go to post-secondary. So I think around grade 7, grade 8, it started really coming in at full effect, right? And I started Googling, researching these feelings and what I was going through, and of course, absolutely dangerous thing to do. Just saying, but it was, I guess, necessary at that point in time because you don't know, right? I don't know who I should talk to about this. At the time, it kind of felt like, I haven't heard anybody else going through something like this. So maybe I thought it was normal. This is just what it is. And it was maybe, I don't know, maybe it was something I saw on TV or something like that made me want to look into it further. Yeah. And so, when I did, I looked it up, and a lot of the symptoms that I had and a lot of the things that I was going through matched a lot towards depression at that point in time. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean, right? Does that mean I'm sick? Like, how do I, you know what I mean? You still don't really quite understand. Like, does that mean I need medication? Is there something wrong with me? And so you go to high school and you start thinking of like, okay, well, how is this going to fit into my life? Where is this going to affect me, and where is it not going to affect me? And one thing that really kind of made it, well, again, I guess another thing I should say about depression is really like a roller coaster, right? You have your ups, you have your downs, and sometimes it's little up, sometimes it's really far down, right? And going through high school, when you start to go down, it usually I felt, to me, it really happened when sometimes there was a snowball effect. So it doesn't have to, but like it'd be like one thing and then something else would happen and then something else would happen. It's like all this happening at once with these feelings that you're happening really brings you down. Right. But not to say that you couldn't just be like, have the best day, like, and to be completely honest, I was with you, Sebastian, all the dudes, right? For pretty much right out of grade 8, I think. And and a lot of that feelings, you guys probably didn't notice when I was hanging out with you guys, right? And I first took practice to get to that point, but it was really the people that I was with that made me feel like I didn't have to feel like that. And that was an important thing.
I would say it caught me by surprise the first time you shared that you did have depression, because I was like, there's no way. This guy's so charismatic. This guy's so funny. This guy's like upbeat whenever you're around us, right? So you're right, and that it can be hard to express that and share that, especially at a young age with people who are close to you, right? Because it might change their perspective or their view of you.
Exactly.
But I want to maybe just touch on your point of having that snowball effect. What was that like, I guess, in high school? Because I can imagine, like, if you have a really big down moment, a larger down, it's harder to get back up. Would it be?
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Well, again, it's for me, and when I was experiencing, it was really like a roller coaster. Sometimes it could be a trigger that brought me down. Sometimes it didn't have to be a trigger. And when coming up, it could be the same thing, right? It could be as simple as me going to school the next day, and right away in the first class, it's all with all the guys, right? And right away, Devin does something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And all those, and then you're thinking about that. You live in the moment, right?
Sure.
And it's so, again, to touch on the loneliness part, it's not lonely because you're all there living in the moment together. I feel normal. I feel right, right? And sometimes, don't get me wrong, I can still be with you guys and still feel right, but I just don't feel whole at that time. And it maybe not something that has happened when I'm with you guys, but it's the roller coaster that I'm going through. And if it's starting to go down, even if I have the most wonderful day with you guys, it doesn't always stop that train from going down.
Yeah.
Right? It may postpone it. It may not. I may have to hide the way that I'm feeling. But at the end of the day, it worries me to, like, it's almost worrisome to me that I'm going to ruin the time that I have with you guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
And maybe that's selfish.
No,
Maybe
no,
it's
no.
not. But it's more along the lines of, if I am telling them how down I am and expressing those feelings, is it going to bring them down? Is it going to make them not want to bring me around when they're doing these things because maybe they think that I'm not enjoying it or something, right? So you kind of keep it to yourself and you try to do the best you can with what you're feeling at the time.
And that just feeds into that loneliness even more.
Yeah.
Because you're not able to tell the people that matter, this is what I'm actually feeling right now.
Yeah.
That is scary, man.
Yeah.
I think the roller coaster is a good way of thinking of it, or making an analogy out of it. You don't know when that next drop is coming, but it's going to come.
Yeah.
Right? And you know it's going to be there. Wow.
Roller coaster in the dark. Shut up.
Fuck that, man.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, like to kind of touch on the fact of the roller coaster, like, again, it's again still hard for me to kind of explain fully, but it's, I don't know, it's sad to a point, right? And it's, and worrisome, right?
Yeah.
Even thinking about it now, it makes me nervous. It makes me like sad.
Yeah,
right?
I can hear it.
Yeah, man, because it high school was a very important time in my life because it's where I met a lot of you guys, right? And where I really started to make out and define who I was.
Yeah.
And it was really tough for me at that time growing around you guys to really, I guess it's weird for me to say, but really like myself at the same time. I'm trying to build myself. I'm trying to make my who I am to be the best person I could be, but I hate it. I hate my person. I don't know why, but it's like every day you wake up and it's this mind in the back of your voice. You have the angel and the devil. It's not. It's just you.
Right.
And it's in the back of your head and you're yelling stupid shit at yourself and it's super overwhelming. You know what I mean? And you go through some days, like, I know it got pretty bad, like in grade 9, I know it got pretty bad. I remember it being bad. And I was I remember being in a relationship at that point in time, and I wasn't treated very well in that relationship. And that brings you down, right? But like, it's like, I'm going to bring in stocks here, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So shout out to Brandon
BBI.
BBI Investing.
Brandon Investing.
Brandon talks about how, the main trend of a stock, it keeps going up, right? It felt like at that point in time in my life, it was going down.
Right.
Right? But it's still up, but the main train was going down, right? And it was really hard at that point in time for me to be able to like myself, to be able to understand what I was doing to myself. So I tried to make a change, right? I started working out a lot, right?
I remember that. Really fit, hey?
Right? I tried to get a job, make some money.
Yeah.
Do other things like that to change my scenery, to change who I was, and to try to be better and better understand and just build who I was. And that worked out for a little bit, and it was okay, but it was still that roller coaster, and it was really hard to get off of that coaster. You know what I mean? That's I just want to get off.
I'm done with this fucking ride, man. Fuck, it's like that part in the wooden roller coaster at a PNE where like you like fly out of your seat.
Yeah.
Fucking cut the shit, man. I'm out. I'm done with this fucking ride, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
And that would bring me to my next point is the thoughts that were taking over, right? Now, you just brought up a point of, I just want to fucking get off. So, into saying that is there was probably not a day where I did not want to die. Probably, I don't remember there being a day where I didn't say like, fuck it, dude, like, let's just, if anything could happen, I wish it would. Just fuck it, I'd walk, piano drop on me from the sky, I don't know, right? Just let it happen.
Wow.
Right? And it happened a lot. And at the time, I think it was around grade 9, my grandmother got really sick. And I took that really hard. My grandmother was like my best friend for my longest time. Always been my best friend. She still is. I love that woman. And I took it really hard because there was a point where she had a stroke, and she was in the hospital, and she was doing okay, right? And everyone when you hear a stroke, you're like, oh, geez, right?
Yeah.
But she was a fighting woman. She was okay, right? She had a little bit of a stroke. I say a little bit, but she came out of it okay. And I remember her calling my mom, and this was back, it's probably grade 9, I think. She called my mom and said, you know, I want to talk to my darling, right?
Oh.
I want to talk to my grandson. And mom was like, Jesse. I have a younger brother, by the way. But
yeah,
Jesse,
there's no way it was that.
Jesse, Nana wants to talk to you. And, going through all these emotions and everything, I was scared. I said, I don't know if I want to talk to her while she's in the hospital, Mom. I don't know if I can do that. Well, sure enough, maybe about a couple days later, she had an even worse stroke, and she lost all ability to speak, to do anything for herself. And it was like that for years. Years. I didn't hear my grandmother's voice again until 2015. Wow. And I remember that day I was at work at Surrey Honda, and she called me, and my uncle called me, and she goes, someone wants to talk to you, right? Puts my grandmother on. She goes, hello, my darling. I burst into tears. Oh my God. Burst into tears. Couldn't hold it back.
Man.
And I didn't want to get off the phone. I never wanted to get off that phone call. I felt so bad, right? But everything was like, oh man. Anyways, with that being said, a lot of this is happening through high school, right? I couldn't talk to my grandmother. There's all these emotions I wasn't feeling, and she was really the person I used to talk to the most. And after losing that, and I felt so bad, it was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. And not to say I ever really had a set plan of how, if I ever wanted to actually kill myself, but there's not a day I wouldn't think about it.
There were still those thoughts.
There's still thoughts.
Yeah.
Always.
Wow. At what point then, I mean, obviously if those thoughts were there every day, I know that you were on medication at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
Did medication help? At what point did that become a part of your life and a part of dealing with depression?
So this is an interesting story. So when I was in high school, there was a point where I didn't notice, but this is what I was going back to. It affects you in ways that you don't notice. Personally, I didn't notice. But I had a very close friend of mine, Isabel, come up to me and pull me aside and say, is everything okay? And I think I've shared my feelings with Isabel before about my depression. And she says, everything okay? I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, you look really like not good. Like you look sad. You look like you look down. Like I just want to make sure you're okay. And I didn't realize how much it was affecting me in the way that I looked.
Yeah.
Even.
That now people from the outside are even noticing it.
Yeah. So I decided to make a very interesting reach out, and I talked to my school counselor, and I told her what was going on with me. And I told her, I'm like,
that's a brave step.
Yeah, absolutely. It was scary as hell. Shaking just about as much as I'm right now. It was, I think, a necessary step at the time. I've never had anyone come up to me and say that to me before, right? And I thought I was really good at hiding it. Yeah. So obviously,
you just talked about building this image this whole time where your friends aren't going to notice. Your friends aren't going to wonder, right? Wow. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, this must be really bad. Okay. And everyone always says, you should ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. And I hate that. because no one ever says, what can I do to help? That should be
Wow.
the question. What can I do to help? Not tell somebody, oh, you should ask for help. Well, what can I do to help?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? Like, is this me talking to you? Is that going to be okay? But furthermore, I let my counselor know how I was feeling. And I told her, I'm like, listen, I want you to help me figure this out. I just don't want to get my mom involved.
Mm.
And so she asked me the question of, well, do you think about killing yourself? Yeah. How often? I'm like, probably every day. Like, I got to call your mom. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
Fuck.
shit.
Not Chris. And I remember my mom coming to school, picking me up, taking me out of school, and it was not a good car ride. Well, not that. She was taken back. She had no idea.
You can feel the tension, yeah.
She had no idea, and I didn't want to do this. This was the last thing I wanted, because when you're feeling like that, the last thing you really want is other people to be burdened by how you're feeling.
This goes back to exactly what you said earlier, right? You never want to put this feeling onto somebody else.
So now my mom's feeling upset because she didn't know what was going on with her son, and now this whole thing is going on, and now it's making me feel worse. I'm like, I should have just stayed quiet. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, I started talking to like a counselor. He would come to the school every Thursday or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I'd be taken out of one of my classes for, I think, 30 minutes, and we would sit down and talk.
Wow.
And the guy was okay.
Yeah. Counselors can be hit or miss.
And that was going to be my next point, because it was okay because we talked, and he said, well, what would you like to do about this? Right? And I said, well, I don't know. What are my options? Right?
That's sort of the same kind of, I guess, wrong phrasing, similar to how you say, like, you should get help.
Yes.
You should talk to someone.
But he's there to try to figure out, because I know he's not going to push me to do anything I don't want to do. So I understood the question, and I knew it wasn't not what can I do to help. It was more like, what would you like to do? Because I don't want to get you out of your comfort zone, right? So I said, okay, well, what about medication? He said, okay, well, if you want to do that, we have to go through the steps. I'm going to have to take you to the actual doctor, and and we'll have a meeting, sit down, we'll talk about it. And I said, okay. So this is, again, and it's really hard to do this, because I've now told my counselor, my school counselor, this new guy that I've never met before.
Yeah.
Right? At least I've had some kind of rapport with my counselor for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But this new guy that I have no idea who he is. And now I have to go tell this other guy what's going on, just so I can possibly get a chance to feel better. Right? Get a chance.
Yeah.
So I do it. I talk to this guy. I go to this spot, and it's like by Minaroo or something. And I go into this building, wait, and it's not the guy it's supposed to be. It was like some on-call doctor or some, or it was like a student doctor or something that was just about to graduate from UBC or something.
Yeah.
Pretty much after I explained to him how I'm feeling, pretty much flat out told me you don't have depression. I don't think medication's right.
Fuck off,
and there's other things we can do to help you not feel so bad about yourself, pretty much. So after that, I stopped seeing my counselor.
Right. Jeez.
I stopped seeing everybody, and I stopped talking about it, because like this guy just is supposed to be the doctor who's really supposed to be supposed to be helping me and giving me solutions. Just told me you're wrong. You're fine, pretty much, and just move on, right? Like, so now I'm like thinking way back to ground zero. And it's like, what am I? You know what I mean? At that point in time, it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, that's such a ridiculous thing, because now you've made yourself vulnerable twice. You've agreed to go and speak with a counselor, and then now you have this terrible experience with a random counselor, and that kind of makes you probably feel defeated in seeking out help, right? And yeah, that's a horrible thing, man. So Jesse, then it sounds like the experience with depression maybe had taken a turn for a worse at points, at least with counseling and experiencing counseling. I'll share for you, like, I've been seeing a counselor, not about depression, but about, I was just feeling in the last, like, maybe 6-ish months here, 5-6 months now, 4, I don't know, a few months, I was just feeling like something wasn't right in my life. I don't know if it was depression, but something wasn't right? And so I've luckily had a good experience with counseling. The counselor I've had has been pretty great so far. But I'm sad to hear that your experience wasn't at that point, because that's tough. Now, that brings me to another question, which is that I've obviously known you for a while.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, you've come a long, long way
I think so.
From where you were with depression to where you are with depression now.
Absolutely.
And so my question is, like, what led to that? What led to that kind of change?
All right. So this one's a tough one to talk about as well. Going back to, as you said, the highs and lows. Not too long ago, it's maybe about, had to be over a year for sure. Maybe a year and a few, maybe 6 months. I don't really remember, but it's been at least more than a year. I actually did try to kill myself.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I tried. I did. Failed attempt.
Well, for me, thank God.
Yeah, and after that, I started to really think about who I was and what I've done. Yes, it was a very sad realization, but I think it brought me to where I am today, because I had a realization that I pretty much ruined a lot of relationships and friendships, I think, over the years, that my feelings were really taking control of me and what I was doing. And I say that lightly. Of course I knew what I was doing,
Right.
but it's where I was feeling was so lonely, and I you know what I mean? It was such a weird time, and feelings I really didn't understand, that I really decided I should make a change. I needed to. And this wasn't just necessarily just for me. And this goes back to something I didn't really touch on, is I've always been really, I think, selfless. I've always tried to look out for other people. I've never been stingy, I think, on money or anything like that. I've always been happy to give people rides, everything like that, and because I like to help. I've always wanted to help people.
I mean, you can hear that in the conversation today. Like,
Absolutely.
you're selfless even in your own management of your depression, in the way that you were trying to protect other people's experiences with it.
Yeah.
Right. And it creates an additional burden for you, but it's a selfless thing.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
So with saying that, I even took a step back from a lot of big friendships in my life.
I mean, we saw that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at one point, it was because I was feeling so lonely, and because I thought I was really going to do it, I stepped back from those friendships. I thought maybe it'd make it less hurtful for you guys.
Wow.
I thought maybe, and at the time I was feeling a little like, I know I had done things in the past and put my friends in bad situations. I'm not always selfless. I try to be, but I have put you guys in awkward situations, in bad situations, and that wasn't right of me to do so. And I felt really bad for doing that. And I know in some cases, a lot of mine and some of our friends, I know our relationships will never be the same as they used to be. And I've come to terms with that. Yeah. It's an unfortunate realization, but you have to.
Yeah.
And I took a step back because I thought, I'm going to fucking do it. Maybe I should just take a step back and not, you know what I mean? Not have anything stop me, and not have anybody be truly hurt by it, or try not to have anyone truly hurt by it. And then after that, there was still a lot of the friends that I wouldn't talk to still try to reach out and still try to, help me. And even after that day, there was a couple of the guys, because I did have somebody before that day happened. Somebody called me, and I was really in a panic, and I knew it was going to happen that night. And I think she heard it in my voice, or I may have told her something. I don't remember. And she called my brother and a couple of my friends. And then I started getting phone calls off the hook, but of course turn off my phone. Anyways, move forward. I knew I had to change, and I started with keeping busy. Keeping busy in routine. Now, I know this isn't so good for you come to your first video, because when you started talking about when COVID happened and you and Jesse, like, this new routine of just going to work, coming home, not being able to see anybody. Yeah. It was baffling.
That was bad for us. Yeah.
Right. For me, I'm so used to it, man. You know what I mean? So when COVID hit, I was like,
sweet.
I was chilling, you know what I mean? And what I ended up doing is I just really focused on who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be. Right. And one thing I knew is I I didn't want to feel like this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't. There's too many things I've already missed out on. There's too many things that I've ruined for this to keep happening, and I can't let it keep happening. So I had to make a change, and I started getting into routines, and those routines were something simple, but I found the best thing that worked for me is getting things that I could do. You know what I mean? Don't make it too crazy. Like, I don't have to do, 50 push-ups before I go to work, and 80 sit-ups when I'm at work. You know what I mean? And that's not the kind of routine I'm talking about. I'm talking about you get out of your bed.
Mm-hmm.
You make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do that every day for the week, that's step one. It's just getting a routine, starting something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that routine turns into something, try to be more healthy. Okay, I've made my bed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make breakfast, right? Spend some time for yourself. Watch a little bit of TV. Eat breakfast before you go to work.
Yeah.
Right? Because before I was never one to really cause physical damage on myself.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would not eat. I would do different
and
things.
that can be bad. Yeah.
It could be very bad. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't eat. I would lose weight. At one point I was like 125 pounds.
Jeez, man. Scary man.
Yeah. Right. Like, and it's crazy because I never thought, like, I knew what I was doing, but I never knew what I was really doing.
Mm-hmm.
I would smoke because I didn't care about myself. Right. And all these little things that I've done over time, it's like, dude, what? I just destroyed so much. And so I started making routines. So doing breakfast, going to work, right? While I'm at work, try your best. I don't have to I have to write up crazy, I'm a service advisor, but I don't have to write up crazy amount of ROs or anything like that, or do crazy amounts of work. Just do your best. Yeah. Right? Be happy with the amount of work that you put in, and then go home, right? Something to look forward to, right? Because everybody, unless you're doing your dream job, which I know some people are, you can't really like going to work. You know what I mean? Working for the man. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Yes, you have to make a paycheck. That's the only reason I'm at work. Is because I need the money. Right. You know what I mean?
You need the money to be able to do the rest of the things.
Exactly. In life, So then when I go home, you do something else healthy. So now I've started to do something really recently where I've started to walk. Right? After work, I go home, I go for a walk. So this is literally, I'm not even kidding, this is steps that I've taken to get to where
literal
I am, right?
steps
Literal
that you're
steps that I've taken. Right? Get up at a decent hour, make breakfast. I make breakfast every morning for myself now. I drink tea, I have toast. It doesn't have to be anything big, you know what I mean?
Man.
I just have some toast. I have toast with jam, and I have my tea in the morning, right? Yeah. Plus, it saves me lots of money because I don't have to buy Tim's in the morning. Yeah. Right?
Oh, that's true. Hey,
whatever, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? So now I'm held over to lunch. I splurge on lunch. I have to. I can't do the meal prep. I can't do it. But
you mean you don't like eating chicken, broccoli, and rice every day?
Chicken, broccoli, cheese. That's it.
No, really?
Chicken, broccoli, cheese. CBC, baby.
Oh, wow.
No, but then after work I'll do my walk now, right? Yeah. And I like it because for Christmas I got a watch and it counts my steps and everything like that, right? So and there's specific goals you can set and you can challenge other people, right? And I try to come like first every week, right? Of course. I'm always second. Of course. These tryhards, man.
There's like bastard out there who's
like
just
125,000 steps in a week. Like, fuck off. Okay?
How you?
Right? That's my point.
You ever go to bed?
Straight up. So I'm like, right? So there's other little things like that. So I've started to set goals for myself, right? I'm really slowly becoming what I think is a man.
I love it.
Right? Which you also touched on the other day, right? With Joe. And that's where I think that I deserve to be my man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I say that, like, I deserve to be my man. You know what I mean? Like, be one for myself, right? And now I make dinner every night, and I don't do, like, I know it's fine, but like I don't do lean cuisine. You know what I'm saying?
Buddy, man, you don't like my lean cuisine?
I love the cooking with Rube, but I don't eat lean cuisines. I'll make rice. I'll make green beans. I'll make chicken fillets, and I'll make some mushrooms and put some sauce on top of that. And now I have dinner, right? I just made that in the last hour.
I love it.
right? And it
love it.
feels really good. It's
Yeah.
crazy, but it feels really good because what I've done
Mm-hmm.
for myself is I've set up goals, tiny
Small
goals.
goals. Yeah.
But I accomplish them every time.
Yeah.
And then it gives me a feeling of success,
Mm-hmm.
of positivity, and I really enjoy it because it's like you did this for yourself.
That's amazing, man.
You've done this for yourself. You can do it for
Yeah.
yourself, right? And
That's a huge realization, dude.
it like honestly, I've really done a lot in the last year. COVID, I think, really helped me because I took a lot of time and thought about myself and what I
Mhm.
wanted to do.
It forced you to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And I took that time constructively, right?
Mhm.
I didn't want to, like, at first, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I wasted the fuck out of it. Like, I got let go of in like March,
Mm.
right? And, it's COVID, right? But it was a
Yeah.
temporary layoff, right? And
Yeah.
it was a 3-month temporary layoff.
Mhm.
Right? This is like, I felt like I was in high school again. We're on summer
Yeah.
vacation. Fuck it, right? Remember when the teachers went on strike for however
Yeah,
long?
yeah,
We were
yeah.
just off of school. Everyone was like, woo!
They were just
Right?
chilling.
No one even cared, right?
Yeah.
You come back, still get an A. Like, it doesn't matter, right? And and it was really cool. It's not cool. Everyone was getting sick and people were actually dying. But the fact that I had this time to myself that
Mhm.
haven't had in years,
Yeah.
right, was absolutely crazy.
It's huge.
And I think one really, and I hate, sorry, flopping back and forth,
alright.
but in one of your last episodes, you were, I think when you're talking with Jess, you were talking about, this craziness of just having this routine of going to work
Mhm.
full time, right?
Mhm.
I've been working full time since I've been out of high school,
Right.
right? I haven't gone to
That's
post-secondary
true.
or
That's
anything
true.
like that. I've been working full time. I don't go on vacations with you
Mhm.
guys. I don't do, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been working.
Right.
And that's all for because of the things that I enjoy.
Mhm.
I bought a car and all these little
Yeah.
things, and have to pay for these, right? So I couldn't afford doing those other little things. So when I had these 3 months off, I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the first little while, it was really nice. I wake up, lay around, watch literally whatever I wanted to, and I would sit there on my phone. I've never scrolled on Facebook for so long in my whole entire life
Yeah.
until COVID pandemic. I was on there for literally 12 hours, and I didn't move off the couch. I'd maybe
Yeah.
skip the dishes back to Facebook, and I'll just do the videos. It was crazy, right? And then it got to a point where it was like, okay, right? I caught up on my sleep, which was super important because I've always had I felt like really tough trouble sleeping.
Mhm.
I caught up on a lot of sleep, which was great. I thought it was number one was key because I felt like I had a clearer mind.
Yeah.
Then I started working on little things. I made it. I really wanted to start working out, so I made a workout plan,
Mhm.
right? And I started working out. I felt good, right?
You
This is
look
different.
great.
This is there's different routines at that point in time, right? But now that I'm back to work and everything, this routine that I'm in now, I think is really helping me, and
Yeah.
and it has to do with those little goals, right? And those little goals are feeling and make me feel really good.
Mm-hmm. I think that's such a. I saw an image just the other day. It's funny how you talk about little goals. Working towards a point of being better, regardless of what that is. Maybe it's being better with depression and your own mental health. Maybe it's being better in your job, better in something that you're passionate about. If you take small steps, it's easier to go up that ladder compared to if you were to take massive leaps and like look at the next thing. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
if I were thinking about, let's say you start a job, right?
Yeah.
You start a job and there's a salesperson, there's a lead salesperson, there's a shift lead, there's a manager, there's a store manager,
And
and
then
you're
there's
like
general manager,
and
you
you
know
get
what I mean?
hired and the general manager, and you get hired as just sales, right? So you're starting at the lowest end, and right away you say to yourself, I'm gonna be CEO.
Exactly.
How the fuck do you do that?
Exactly.
And you can't
Yes.
manage that kind of like movement.
Yeah.
Whereas if you set little goals and it doesn't even have to be the next role
No.
for this example, right?
You
It
just
can
get
be
like employee of the month.
yeah, like something like that.
Yes.
Right? Little things like that. And you can start to manage your growth a lot better. So that makes me really happy to hear that
Yeah.
it was identifying this routine, but then also identifying the benefit of setting little goals that seem to have helped you.
Absolutely.
Seem to have helped you.
Yeah, and another interesting thing was I started trying to I'm the type of guy, I like my toys.
Sure.
I love my toys.
Sure.
And I've always, and my dad, and I think my dad has done the same thing. He's told me, he's like, he works really hard for his money.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he should be able to spend it.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing, man.
For sure.
I do the same thing. I think I work really, really hard for my money. I think I'm in a profession that I work pretty hard for my money. And I'm not saying anybody else's profession is easy. I'm just saying I do work really hard. And I've bought a lot with my money, but a lot of things that I buy is like hobby things. And the issue is I got so many fucking hobbies.
Yeah, you and your hiking, man.
Exactly. There's so many, I can't keep up with them. So I'm starting to narrow those down as well.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I'm going to continue doing, and I think I'm going to continue doing forever, is hiking.
Yeah.
And the reason why is just because of what we just touched on.
Mm-hmm.
The way I think I see hiking, it's as a goal, but it's literally a big goal that you can complete in one day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? I went on a hike the other day. This was Monday.
Yeah.
It's called the Des Vista Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look it up on All Trails, which is a very popular hiking app, I recommend anybody that hikes definitely download that shit. If you look up on All Trails, it says it's about 4 hours and 11 minutes approximately to complete that hike.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it with my brother and I've done it with Ivan over the past summer. And it was raining on the day we went, and it took us about five and a half hours, I think.
Wow.
Right? I did it in 3 hours.
Really?
I did it in 3 hours.
Wow. Damn.
Only reason why is because I rolled up there at it was like 1:20, and the sign said it closed at 4:30.
So you got to get it done.
I got to get it done in 3 hours, right? But that wasn't really what I was trying to say, but it's crazy, right? But the idea behind the hike is you don't, you know what I mean? You just go to what you can do, and no matter what, there's going to be an accomplishment out of it. You're going to be bettering yourself, because whether it's, you know what I mean, you're going for a walk around the neighborhood, it's exercise, right? If you're going up this hill, right, whether you're doing it for time, right, if you make it, great, you did great on your time. If you're not doing it for time, like you're just trying to get to the top, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, I feel like whenever I go hiking, especially when I'm going alone, you're pushing out of your comfort zone to get this what I think is an amazing achievement. And it's whatever, usually it's the end of the hike, or the peak point or the viewpoint of the hike, right? And I don't always have to share it. I don't always have to share it with somebody. I could just be something that I've done on my own. I like sharing it with people because I think it's really amazing when I bring all these people together and I can share my knowledge on hiking and what I've experienced and how to make them better, as long as they're listening. Because I know they don't. And then when we get to the top, after we've, you know what I mean, talked and shot the shit throughout this whole hike, we get to the top and the time has passed and we're having, like, you know what I mean, your legs hurting, but you get to the top and you're like, wow, right? Yeah. We've just done this, you know what I mean? And when we're doing these hikes, each time we try to do a better or longer one, right? And when you complete that hike, for me, it brings me such a feeling of confidence and something that I've completed, you know what I mean?
Accomplishment, yeah,
absolutely.
The way that I see it, like, I think this is something that I've definitely noticed in these last couple of years or I guess last year and a bit, where you've gotten a lot better. Hiking has become a regular part of your life, and absolutely it gives you that sense of accomplishment, but I would imagine it also gives you that time where it is just yourself. And you get that time to think and reflect and be with you.
And I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's not like I don't never get feelings of depression anymore. They still come and go, but how I deal with them now is a lot different. Going on hiking by myself, yes, it can be very, I think, healthy, get blood flowing, right, oxygen to the brain, but at the same time, I find if I am by myself for a long period of time, you can't ignore some negative thoughts, you know what I mean? So that can be really tough. So that's why I really enjoy hiking with people, right? It keeps me on, and I feel like I have to be like the mother bear of the group, right? I keep
because you're the experienced one too. Now, so when you bring people on, it's like you bring people on for a ride.
Exactly. It's awesome. So I try to make sure everyone's doing okay. I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. I want to make sure everyone has proper gear and their gear's working for them, and no one's else going to get hurt. So my mind is on them, and we're having a good time, right? So being out the distraction of it, and I know a lot of this stuff may seem as distractions, but I don't see it as a distraction personally. I know that feeling's there, and whether or not it's going to be there forever, I don't know, right? At one point, it did seem like it was going to be there forever because, you know, being grade 5, you're like 10, and I'm like 23 now.
Yeah.
That's
a long
time.
That's
13
man.
Years, man. That's more than like almost. That's, you know what I mean. At that point in time,
that's the majority of your life.
My life, yeah. You know what I mean? So it felt like, dude, this is. Everyone's like, no, you know what I mean. You'll get through it. It's not gonna be forever. It fucking feels like it's forever. Right? It always does. It's like, fuck, this won't stop. Right? But now I'm at a point where it's like, you know what I mean.
It seems like you're more in control of it.
I try to be. But you have to work.
No, yeah.
You have to work. You have to work at it. And my dad once said to me, and it was, my dad and I don't really talk about my feelings, and this, you know, it's guys. My dad's
B-Rye.
You know what I mean? My dad's an old guy. You know what I mean? B-Rye is 72.
Really? Dude, I didn't know it was that
72, yo.
72 years young, huh?
So you know what I mean? Like, talking to my dad about this, like, he's in some ways really old school, right? So talking to my dad about this stuff is really tough sometimes because I don't understand his reactions all the time. And but when he talks to me about it, he always tries to say the same thing. He's like, you just have to fight it, Jess. You just have to be better than that, right? Than it, right? Not than who I am. Like, he knows I'm a good person. He knows I can do it. He just knows I need to work at it. He doesn't.
You're stronger than your depression.
I think I am.
Yeah,
absolutely. Fucking
Jess,
right,
man. I love you.
I love you, bro.
I love you, man. I love you, brother. I love you. I love you. Dude, I really appreciate you sharing all this with me.
Yeah, man. Top secret info that's now going to be out to the public.
Now it's going to be on the internet.
You know, we're going to make sure we put a price tag down at the bottom. It's got to be 99 cents if you want to watch it. 99 cents if you want to view this episode.
Man. I'm so happy that you're still here. I'm happy that you...
Me too.
I'm happy you failed, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy you failed, if I can say it that way.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm happy that you're clearly on the right path.
I think so. I fucking hope so.
I believe it.
I don't like backtracking. That's one thing I don't like about hiking. I don't like going.
I hate these round hikes, man. I want point to point.
Straight up. Oh, man.
Anyways, I think that for time's sake, we'll end around here.
All right.
But seriously, thank you so much for sharing.
Well, thank you for having me, and I hope whoever's watching this can. Again, I'm no expert. I'm not saying this is absolutely a surefire way of getting over how you're feeling. But I think if you guys really want to try, I'm living evidence that you can beat it. You can do it. You can really do it if you really try.
Yeah.
Really try. You gotta really try. It sucks,
tough
but you
time
can
never
do it.
lasts.
Yeah, exactly.
Only tough people last. Have you seen that video?
Yes, I have. And I think this is said by the Navy SEALs, but the only tough day was yesterday.
I love it.
You got to keep moving forward. You got to. The world doesn't stop for how you're feeling. So if you wake up tomorrow, you're gonna have to live with all the decisions you've already made. And I do that every day, and I'm living to make it better.
100%.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Happy to have you on. I'll have you on another time sometime too. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And again, I can't emphasize enough how happy I am to have had Jesse share his stories today. This is a really, really important topic, and I hope that this reaches someone who is going through something similar and can take something away from this. For them to learn and get better as well. But yeah, thank you for watching. This is the end of the episode. We're going to keep this going every week and continue to have some really good conversations on here.
Yeah,
man. Really excited for it.
I'm excited.
100%.
Loving the channel, Rube. I'm loving the conversations.
Hey, man.
It's really cool what you're doing, man. I'm excited for you.
Cool. Couldn't do it without you all. Couldn't do it without all y'all, man. No chance. Anyways, thank you, everybody, one more time. I will see you in the next episode. Peace.
Good night.